Welcome to Arcade Beat, the show where we listen to soundtracks from video games and analyze them to figure out what makes them work, not just as a piece of music, but as a part of something larger. Ever wonder why the music to Mario 64 sounds exotic, yet familiar at the same time? Or why you can't get that riff from Mega Man 2 out of your head? Arcade Beat has you covered. Okay, so the next track on the list is...
This should be uplifting.
Cry in Sorrow.
It is kind of a nice moment when this happens, though, isn't it? It's a positive moment.
Good.
Whoopsie daisy. I mixed that up with something else. That's
okay.
That's not. Yeah. That's
At this point in the game,
bad.
at this point in the game, you've traveled a bit. You've found this master mage Tella, who's looking for his daughter, and he finds as you're walking to this castle where he thinks his daughter is, because his daughter. This prince is after her, like not after her in a bad way. He loves her and he wants to play. He's a bard and he plays the lute for her, and he loves her. And she's like, "I'm gonna run away with you." And then Tella is like, "No, I'm your dad. Don't run away with him, because he's a spoony bard.
He's not gonna provide for you."
Yeah. So as you're walking up to that guy's castle to go get his daughter back, the Red Wings swoop in and bomb the ever living shit out of it. So you go in and you find the bard unconscious, and you find his daughter dead on the floor is what's happening here.
Oh, also worthwhile to note, in the story so far, Cecil is no longer the captain of the Red Knights. He has completely gone rogue against the kingdom that he used to work for.
Yeah.
And the Red Wings are now led by
Golbez.
And
who we haven't really met yet.
We haven't really met. He's sort of the main bad of the series throughout the vast majority of the game.
We'll get to that.
He's the main antagonist throughout like 99% of the game.
Yeah.
And in the Red Wings now is Cecil's former best friend Kane, who was the Dragoon, who was with you in the beginning of the game as well.
There seems to be also, in general, in terms of the music, there's now becoming different styles that kind of relate to whether it's going to be emotional, whether it's going to be action-packed, whether there's like different styles now that are becoming evident that when this music plays, it's going to be in this type of environment.
Yeah. And
Sully, your point still stands, I feel. Like, it's not the feeling of adventure, no, but the main theme is in it. And
this is
an emotional
variant on
spot.
that. They actually use this specific track a couple of times in like sad emotional moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, they use something more akin to the actual like main theme in its original orchestration for like goosebumpsy moments. This is more of a, but it's an emotional moment. They reuse the main theme for that, at least in melody.
Yeah. And I would argue that the second, I think you're right. Again, quick disclaimer, fact check this next sentence. But I think that you're right in that this also plays when you're fighting, when Cecil's fighting Cecil in order to become Paladin Cecil. Like you get the sword and you become a Paladin or whatever, you shed the dark armor and you have to fight yourself. I think this is playing, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when I said there was like a happy silver lining to it, but I don't. Let's fact check that. Fact check that.
That one. Yeah, and back to your point of Final Fantasy IV being influential to the series as a whole, I picked out a track from Final Fantasy VIII that this song very much reminded me of when I was listening to it. Go and play that one.
Hop over to FF8.
Final Fantasy VIII. It's the Find Your Way track from Final Fantasy VIII.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very similar emotion, similar arrangement.
Yeah.
Same kind of again, same kind of a mood that it sets up.
Yeah, it's used in very similar situations in Final Fantasy VIII when things are kind of at their worst, when the outlook looks bleak, or when you're like lost in a spoopy crystal cave somewhere.
What kind of a timeline is between Final Fantasy IV and 8 in terms of?
8 came out in 98.
I believe so. Yeah, 1998 Squaresoft.
Yeah, and then 4 came out.
91, I think.
Was it?
I think it was. I think so.
You know what? We have the internet.
Yeah,
let's just look it up real quick.
So, approximately a 7-8 year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's also interesting to hear the difference in the technology of the sound too.
Yeah.
Yes. This is one generation of consoles after Final Fantasy IV. Yeah. This was the PlayStation 1.
I still believe it is a sound font. I don't believe that it's all natural instruments, but it's recorded. It's recorded sound fonts as opposed to synthetic.
Right. Yeah, it's samples.
Yeah.
So definitely, it crosses that imaginary boundary of reality in an interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
1999, Final Fantasy VIII was released.
Okay.
So we're looking at like 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. Okay. The next track on the list here is that Mount Ordeals?
It is.
All right, let's listen to it. All right, so a little bit of background for this one, where we are in the story. Cecil and company are trying to stop the Red Wings from collecting all of the crystals of the different elements from around the world, because Golbez has some big evil scheme in mind for them. Yes, there's nefariousness going on, and the party is trying to stop him. But at this point in the story, it is revealed that Cecil, however you pronounce it, he can't continue his journey until he confronts the darkness within himself, until he faces his fears and his doubts. So he has to travel to Mount Ordeals, undergo a trial, and change classes from a Dark Knight to a Paladin. And if you're not aware, those are two very different classes. In both visually, gameplay wise, and in terms of the lore, they're pretty much.
Hair.
He gets new hair.
He gets new hair.
He gets new hair.
New hair. He gets a new haircut.
Like hair plugs for men type of thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Well,
I think he takes off his helmet and he reveals his flowing, luxurious silver locks of hair.
Is it like when Darth Vader takes his helmet off and he looks like Peter Gabriel?
No. Cecil's a much more attractive man than Darth Vader.
No offense
He's
to
a
Peter Gabriel. I love him, but
Cecil's very much a pretty boy.
Oh, okay. My bad.
And instead of actual plate armor, he wears a coat. It's got a coat.
So he's getting away from his warring type background.
Yes. So the big mechanic change here is Dark Knight is a damage dealing class. It focuses mostly on attacking and offensive and just doing as much damage as possible.
Right.
Paladin is what's called a tank, in that you are absorbing as much damage as possible, you're keeping the party alive, and you're trying to... The big mechanic for the Paladin class is cover, which means that he can take damage instead of an ally. So if an enemy would be attacking the White Mage, the healer, he can jump in front of that attack and take the damage for them. Mm-hmm. So it's a complete role reversal in terms of how Cecil is fighting now. So he's not aggressive. He's not trying to kill things. He's fighting to protect instead of fighting to destroy.
Yeah.
Positive move.
Yes.
And I think so going back, I'm trying to find a tie-in here because this also featured the Xylo, which we.
Yeah, this is not the one I was talking about when I had mentioned the mallets coming back, but
it does though. If I'm not mistaken. Isn't Mount Ordeals also where we find Yang?
I'm not
I think
sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I can fact check if you got.
Yeah, if it is, then that's a perfect tie-in because
isn't that where
the bomb happens? Like the bombs happen. You have to help them fight it.
Yeah,
and there's nothing weirder than a Western German man with a ponytail and a mustache doing karate.
Is that odd?
It's a bit odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wrong. I don't want to be right.
Well, it's not even the doing karate. Like, sure, I'll give you guys the karate. He's got like he's got like no, he's got like like Shantae style like Eastern, like Middle Eastern like belly dancer pants on.
Oh, okay.
And he's got like the big thick brownish red mustache. And like he's bald except for like this ponytail that he's got like braided that like comes up and then goes down. He's got the curly shoes.
That's fun. Okay. Yeah. So he's got the curly shoes, so that brings a whole nother.
Yeah, like in Aladdin, the curly shoes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So he's Aladdin with a man bun, kind of.
Yeah.
No, Yang was already in the party at this point.
Okay.
They met Yang in Fabul trying to protect the wind crystal.
Yes.
Lithium crystals?
They've got
there's a lot of
earth, wind, and fire crystals.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the water crystal.
Yeah,
because they needed 4.
You mean like, get away hey, that kind of Wind and Fire.
The same.
The same.
Interesting. All right. Eric Idle's birthday's this Tuesday.
Oh, tell him happy birthday.
I will. I've seen him very drunk at the Hills Hotel. And he's a fun, happy drunk. He's not a
That's good.
drunk.
That's good. I would expect him to be
I
a
think he's going to be
happy drunk.
75, I believe.
Wow.
Yes, he's a sweet. I've met him a few times, really. But we digress.
Yes. And anyways, is Sully excited?
Yeah.
All right. Well then,
We're moving on.
let us tarry no longer and move on to Golbez, Clad in the Dark.
Well, there you go.
Oh boy. All right. So, possibly mild hot take for a second. Definitely best villain theme in the entirety of Final Fantasy. By far, 100%. And there might be some people out there like, but one winged angel, and
No.
I'm just gonna like, just shut up. This
I'm
is
sorry, you're wrong. Go home.
Objectively.
Just shut up.
So this theme, not just in itself, but in the way that it's used in the narrative, is absolutely brilliant. It plays, the first time it plays is the first time that you meet Golbez in person, and he absolutely ruins your day. It's like he leaves, he's taking your girl, your best friend is betrayed you and under his power, and he has the crystal. And you're just left there like, well, shit.
What are you gonna do about it?
Like, everything is ruined.
Yeah, he like spills your beer.
And
Then he spills his beer on you.
and so what they do with this theme then is that they use like subtle variations of it to show times when he has influence on something. So other tracks will have that inserted into them, but not full force to show his influence on something. But the track itself only ever plays when he's appearing physically
On screen.
So if you hear that, it leaves this, like, you have that first impression, and it's only ever reinforced that every time you hear that track, your day is about to be ruined in person by him in your face.
This is what this song is to Golbez as dun 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 dun
Right.
dun
Yeah.
dun is
Perfect
to Vader.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just great. Like, it's, I wanted to compare it a little bit to, like, some of, like, so Kefka and Sephiroth are the two other themes that people will probably bring up as far as, like, great villain themes. And I think the thing that really makes it stand out is that in-person aspect, because,
here's the thing with both Kefka and Sephiroth's theme. Yes, I will not argue that they are more complex and better composed than this.
oh, yeah.
That being said,
That's
they're
not the
not
point.
themes.
That's not the point, yeah.
Yeah, they're fight songs. You only get one winged angel when you're fighting Sephiroth for the last time. You only get
You get, like, a
forget the name
looming
of the
thing
track.
with
the
Kefka's theme is just
Dancing Mad?
Dancing
Yeah,
Mad.
yeah.
You only get Dancing Mad when Kefka's a god at the very end of the game.
You get
Spoiler
some
alert.
like theme aspects of both of them throughout the game, but like Kefka's is weird because Kefka's appears pretty reasonably in the first half of the story, and in the second half it just disappears. So by the time it comes back, you've kind of it's lost its effect.
Yeah, you've forgotten it.
And Sephiroth's his theme emanates throughout, but in a very like. It's almost like Jaws. Like the theme is there because you feel his influence, but like he's never there.
Right, but
which is scary, but it's not.
Even that
It doesn't make you jump. It's
even that bum 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 bum. That's not One Wing an Angel.
Yeah, but it's so like, but it's still a reference to Sephiroth, I guess.
Yeah.
But like the thing about it is, it's I wrote way too much stuff down. So it's
like in this, every time you get Golbez, you get that.
Yeah, it's much more. Yeah,
it's prevalent.
Yeah, it's just it's so good. I don't know. I'm really. It's also more menacing, I think, than say like Kefka's, for example, because they're both organ. They all have organ, but like Kefka's is like it's like a reed organ. It's kind of like the kind of organ that you expect from like a carnival.
Yeah,
but like
it's like a small chapel organ.
Yeah, this is like full blown church organ. This is like this is like the 3-story high pipes. Like
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the best one.
Yeah. Do you like this one?
I do. Well, I like the use of it. I really appreciate the use of it. I think it's it's masterful, and I think I really like the subtle use of like inserting it into other tracks to like show that he's been there and he's devastated that place, or that he's influenced this or that thing happening, but he's not there himself right now.
Right.
And it's just great. And then nothing makes you more this is the track that makes you shit your pants while you're playing the game.
I gotta say, there is again,
it's gross, right?
I mean, I've done that.
Been there, done that.
Not fun.
I played Resident
That's
Evil.
why he's the bad guy.
I was in the pilot seat on Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I got that game too. I played it. No, but what's it called? This is another thing. This is almost not so much a fact check beyond this, but I'm actually requesting a fact check. I am sure that arpeggiated bit in that theme, that I'm sure that's in a Bach piece somewhere.
Probably.
I'm sure that is a Bach piece.
If nothing else, I mean, like
it has to be.
It has to be for one reason, and that reason is that Bach literally did the entirety of the canon and fugue genre.
Yeah.
Like he literally just like, this is canon and fugue in literally every key possible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like it probably is, yes.
Yeah.
If not, it's certainly a nod to that early reference, because like Charlie said, he in a way invented that whole style.
Yeah.
So you sort of, it's like, who did it before him?
It has to be.
You know.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, pause the video, go through every Bach piece, find the one, put it in the comments below.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing I wanted to add to this is that it's the thing. This track and its effect is never once diminished in this game, because he turns face at some point. Spoiler alert, and you never hear the theme again. Mm-hmm. So it's not attached to him as a person; it's attached to his villainy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's his theme, but once he's not like ruining your day anymore, you don't hear it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so there was never an instance in this game where it's lost its effect.
Just like when Darth Vader takes his helmet off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No more da da da.
Yeah.
No, they don't play the Imperial March during that scene.
No,
Nope.
They do not.
Okay.
Very good.
So the next track on the list is Hey Sid, another Final Fantasy staple.
Hey Sid.
I want to piggyback off of Sully's previous comment about Golbez having the best
Villain theme.
Villain theme,
to this game having the literal worst character dies forever theme. So this is his theme throughout every time that you see theme. Much like Golbez has his theme. Anytime you see Sid, like this happens, including when he like sacrifices himself so that the rest of his team may survive. It plays this as he's jumping off the Tower of Babel into the lava to his death.
Is that not a heroic moment?
Yeah, I mean it is a heroic moment, but like it's like
I think it should probably be a little bit more
somber.
Like bittersweet, yeah.
Bittersweet.
I don't know. I can't imagine. Just looking at Sid, I can't imagine him being attached to a somber thing. So,
that's fair.
We have enough somber deaths. We need a pure heroic death.
Yeah. I guess to set the stage at this point for Sid as a character and where we are in the story, Golbez has actually accumulated all 4 of the crystals on the surface world, and then we learn that there is another subterranean world underneath the surface. And
what's got more crystals?
What's got faux mo crystals? And so Golbez has set his sights on the subterranean. I forget exactly what it's called. The underworld, basically.
The land of the dwarves.
Overworld, underworld.
The land of the dwarves. Mm-hmm. And the party has to travel to the underworld, and you meet the race of the dwarves, who are pretty much the race that lives in the underworld.
Are they hobbits or smurfs?
Yes.
To all. And Sid is one of the dwarves.
As opposed to hairy feet?
Think they're hobbits, but what if all the hobbits were like the one hobbit at like the birthday party? You know, the one and proud feet. You know that one. Every single one of them is that. They end every sentence with "lolly ho."
Okay.
Yes,
that clears.
Yeah.
That clarifies it.
Clarifies it for you. That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that the
None
dwarves
of this sounds like Fats Domino to me, but my personal opinion. Inside joke.
The dwarves are a very industrious, upbeat, kind of plucky race of people. Not unlike Tolkien dwarves. They've got a very go get 'em attitude.
Like if I had to paint you a picture, it's less Peter Jackson dwarves and more Ralph Bashki dwarves.
Okay.
Yes.
Very they're not a sad race. They're not an angry or upset race. Like when we get to their theme, you'll see exactly what I mean. Right. But if you think like the Ralph Bashki rotoscoping Lord of the Rings, like that's what the influence was with these guys. They're like all of them have the Viking horned helmets. All of them have 2 yellow dot eyes that you can only see through the helmet, and the rest of it's black. And then they have the big gigantic orange beard.
Okay.
Every single one, even the women.
Especially the women.
Nice.
So,
and I guess I kind of mentioned it earlier, but Sid is another Final Fantasy staple in that every Final Fantasy game has a character.
He's usually used as
Sid.
somewhat the comic relief. Usually, not all the time. Mm-hmm. And in this one, he's the smart engineer, which is also usually a Sid trope.
Mm-hmm.
And that music sounds that way.
Yeah, he's a very plucky engineer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Didn't he build the airship?
He did.
I think so, yeah.
And then he jumped off of it.
Yeah.
And this played.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, next track on the list, and again, I'm a little confused as to why they did the track order like this, but Mystic Mysidia is the next track that's on the soundtrack list.
So this town theme is weird for a town theme.
Yeah.
There were some mallets. Notice some weirdness.
Yeah.
Which will come back one more time in this, as far as I remember. Possibly more if I missed
I
something.
want you to go through your whole spiel, and I want to see if you point something out, and I'm gonna make you redo your entire thing, I think.
Oh, probably. Okay. I don't have a whole lot on this. I just thought it was kind of goofy for a town theme. It was very up tempo, and they added those those it almost sounds like it's supposed to be like a chocobo chirp or something. But I don't know. And so I don't know. I just thought that, and it was weird, and it has mallets, which it was weird. So
it gives you the impression that something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's something a little. It's like it looks right, but there's something a little kooky going on, and even as the music progresses and it gets a bit more mainstream in a way, there's still that constant but be careful, something weird's going on the whole way as it plays.
He wanted it to be extra kooky. This is the only song in this entire soundtrack that's a whole tone scale.
Oh.
If you think about the melody, that and they're all whole tones, with the exception of the there's a half step in there. That's the only half step.
Well, that's because that's how you sustain mallets. That's just how marimba is sustained.
No. I mean, just the.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
That's
saying,
the only half that note progression. That's the only part where a half step occurs. The rest of it's all just whole tone scale.
Yeah. Huh. Noted.
That's extras.
I should have dug into that one more. Huh.
Sorry, I should clarify this. Whole tone scale, being where instead of having whole half like you would in a major scale, it's whole.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Twilight Zone. Because of Twilight Zone in-game composition, just to round off my point, when you want something to sound mystical or unexplainable, when you want to use unsolved mysteries or
the scary door.
Yeah, the scary door. X-Files. When you want it to be like that, but with an air of mysticism. I'm the creepy dude with the big pointy hat and you can't see my face and I'm looking at a crystal ball that's fogging up and I'm telling you things that you're going to run into
KKK
eventually.
Type?
No, exactly. More like...
I'm just joking.
Wrong pointy hat.
Yeah, wrong pointy hat.
Sorry, missed it.
Think Mickey Mouse, Disney. That kind of pointy hat.
It's used a lot in cartoons, for the we're going into a flashback.
Yeah. All that kind of stuff, all that mystic stuff. If you wanted that, whole tone scale. It's the easiest way you're going to achieve it.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want it to sound weird and offbeat and mystical, whole tone scale.
Good to know. Well, from a gameplay standpoint, Mysidia is sort of like the magic capital of the world. It's like where people go to train to become magicians. It's where you meet Porum and Pelham, who are, I think, Black Mage, White Mage combo.
Yes.
Yeah, they're twins, brother and sister. One of them's a Black Mage, one's the White Mage. I can never remember which one's which. And so that's where you get your first real magical party members. And I also consider this the theme of culture shock, because this is one of the first times in the game that you visit another country.
Yeah.
So
and the first thing you see is pigs walking around shopping at shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget, is that all because I know there's that one, the dancing lady that turns you into a pig because she's a mage in disguise, in the pub, and so she turns you into a pig and kicks you out, and now you have to go cure yourself, or else you can't really do anything because you're a pig.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That entire thing happens. There's frogs that speak and stuff, weird stuff. And you're. This is the first time that you're off this, not out of the country, off the continent.
Yeah.
You're on a different continent now.
Yeah. So this is. I think it works, even if the town weren't weird to us as players. I think that just kind of drives the point home. But it's weird. It's weird to the player, the character as well. So it's this whole idea of Eastern versus Western culture. Whenever you go somewhere that's just so completely different from everything that you know. It's sort of overwhelming, and everything that you know is wrong. Like people are driving on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how this song is written not only from the player's perspective, but also from the perspective of the characters a little bit as well.
A quick tie-in for the future, just to keep an eye out, so that this fits into the whole mallets for weirdness thing. That dancing girl in the pub that I mentioned that turns people into pigs. I'm gonna bring that up again later for the final time that mallets appear, because that happens.
Cool.
Girl in a pub that turns people into pigs.
she's a dancing girl, but she's like a mage in disguise. I saw that
when I was in Orlando.
She's basically like, leave me alone, you're a pig. Like, that's...
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, and it kicks you out of the bar. Yeah.
Because they don't serve pigs alcohol.
Yeah.
No, it's bad for
no.
pigs.
You can't have pigs.
I saw a beer drinking pig once, but it was non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah. Yeah,
he gets the can.
We were in St. Croix. They put the can of beer in the pig's mouth. This is a big freaking pig, and the pig just goes and just chomps on the can and guzzles the entire can of beer
nice.
in like 5 seconds, and then spits out the can.
What I was actually
they
pointing
used to use real beer, but the pig got really drunk because they would do it a lot.
What I was actually pointing out, you said a can of beer has pig.
What?
You said it flipped.
The beer drinking
pig is what you said.
Yeah.
You
mean a pig drinking beer.
Well, they called it the beer drinking pig.
Oh, the titular pig is the beer drinking pig. All right, I'm with you now.
Beer drinking pig.
I was like, how could beers drink pig? No. I don't look at that.
No, beer drinking being like an ad.
You can edit this bit out if you.
No, we're keeping this.
This is gold.
This is the fun stuff.
This is why people come to our channel for the witty banter.
I keep lying about this. There's more mallets than I said there are still, but I'm holding to what I said.
Okay. All right. Well, next up, now that we're in Mysidia, let's go ahead and actually meet Porum and Palom.
It's just kind of fitting that you meet them in Mysidia, just because the theming matches up.
Yeah. The theming matches up so well. And not only are they mages and they're from Mysidia, but they're also just kids.
Yeah, they're really goofy.
They're really goofy. They're kind of carefree.
Yeah. Weird mallets.
Yeah,
weird
and
mallets.
It has a very distinctive melody line. And again, a very Zappa-ish kind of vibe.
Yeah.
A very sophisticated melody line that changes, goes back and forth. Something that again is a little bit unusual, but somehow works in the scene.
Yeah. The first time that you meet them, Palom, I forget which is which.
I can't.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, the girl bonks the boy on the head because he says something that is not socially acceptable or something. I don't know, but like, yeah, it's like a little bit of a comic relief.
They're a little slapstick duo for a lot of it, which I think actually makes their death scene even more poignant.
Yeah,
because they've been like comic relief characters up to this point,
and then they get super serious.
They turn themselves to stone in order to cast Meteor, I think, to save the party.
No, they turn themselves into stone in order because you get trapped in a room and the wall starts.
Oh, that's right.
It starts doing the Star Wars
trash
compactor on you, so they turn themselves to stone so that they can stop the walls.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, so one quick correction. I said in the previous song that Mysidia was the only one that had the whole tone. That was not entirely correct. There is that whole tone influence here as well.
Yeah, but the two songs are very closely tied together.
Yeah, the point still stands. It's mystical.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Even though this one is doesn't have quite that mystical.
Yeah.
It has more of it's kind of painting a picture of unusual characters.
Weird.
Goofy children.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's lighthearted and a little strange.
I have two of them. Yeah.
Wham 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 wazzle.
What's that?
It's Futurama.
Oh, Futurama.
Anyways.
I didn't think it was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I wasn't sure.
Hey everybody, Drew here. Just wanted to take a quick break and remind you about our new release schedule. We'll be getting a new episode up in 2 weeks from now on July 13th, and we'll be kicking off a brand new game. Really excited to be talking about this next game. Gonna leave it a surprise for now, but I hope you guys will like it too. That's pretty much it for now. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you like the video, and share it. Tell your friends. Exposure really helps us out. And with that, let's get back to the show. Alright, so the next track goes by a couple different names. It's the Dreadful Fight, also known as the Battle with the Four Fiends.
That is the battle theme we've been waiting for.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
And it follows all the classic cinematic themes, musical themes. You know, the orchestral, the strings and the timpanis and the fast changes and all the different aspects in terms of the musical turnarounds, and then the stating of the melody line and stating the melody line again with octaves and all those things that you get into that classic final sword fight of the movie on the mast with the lightning, and then they're doing that big final
swinging on the ropes and swinging swords at each other, and
it's intense.
But again, the electric bass and the drum kit are still there,
combined with timpani.
Combined with timpani,
which is epic as all get out. That intro material is actually the same intro material as the other fights, kind of like varied and slow. So like that initial climb is the same. It's derivative of the same scale used for that quick arpeggio.
Yeah,
and that like dun 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 dun. That's an A and a G, which is the same da 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 da. That thing. Yeah, it's the same notes. So, but in octaves and slowed down and more epic.
So one of the cool things that I always like to point out whenever I'm discussing this song is the fact that the entire thing is in fact in 4. Later on, Nobuo Uematsu would go on to get his own prog rock band going called the Black Mages.
Yes.
And they do this in their second album. When he does it in the second album, that is no longer in 4. He doesn't change any notes or any note durations. The only thing that changes is the way the drum kit is playing it. In this version, he's doing throughout the entire thing. In the Black Mages version on the disc, that the stabs, he's following up with the crash cymbal and kick, and stalling there, and then going do do cat do ba do do cat do blah, doing like that to give us that stab. And in changing just the drums, at that point, he actually changes the time signature of the song.
Yeah,
and like you get that here. Like you can definitely like count this out in 4. You can sit there and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll fit.
It's that need for like driving motion because it's supposed to propel you to action.
It'll fit there, but realistically, this is not something that's in 4.
Yeah, the Black Mage's version is what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's
yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely hear it. This is all over the place as far as like accents and stuff like that. It's nuts, and I love it.
Did you want to hear the Black Mage's version to compare?
Sure.
Huh?
good.
Yeah. But yeah, just that comparison, just to round out the thought there. You can hear just like in the SNES version, it's in 4 because it kind of has to be. Mm-hmm. But like melodically, the accents on the melody are not in your standard 4/4 placements.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up is the Airship Theme.
Guess what? The main theme's back, but it's in major now.
Yep. Woo!
Which it feels better.
Yeah. Well,
an airship.
Yeah.
You're flying now.
You're flying.
And I think it's important to note that I think that fits really well specifically because the main theme is, again, the overworld theme. So it's the overworld theme, but happier because you're flying over it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah!
So this is another song that sort of it mimics how the player feels at the time when this happens, because you get the airship and you are ecstatic about it because you can go anywhere, you can do anything.
I don't have to worry about random encounters because I'm flying.
You don't get into random encounters because you're flying. You move a lot faster, and you don't have to worry about the terrain on the map. You can fly over mountains, over the oceans. This just the entire world map just opened up to you, and you are just so happy.
And you get that cool mode 7 too.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of airship is it?
It's literally like a pirate ship, but like it has propellers on the top.
Pirate ship meets a helicopter.
A pyrocopter.
Pyrocopter. Yeah, definitely pyrocopter.
Or a drone. So it's a drone pirate ship.
More or less, yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, Sid, for that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Later on, you get the big whale. Is the big whale on this playlist? I don't know.
I don't
think it is.
No, I don't think so. No.
You gotta get an even bigger ship later that's shaped like a whale. And you take it to space.
I didn't include it because it was very similar.
Yeah.
Thing.
Whale.
So the next track, sort of I guess backtracking in the story a little bit, is the land of the dwarves.
The underworld.
The Unterwelt.
That was like Crimson pre-discipline.
Yeah.
That was like Islands Crimson.
Yeah, but also the main theme again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and this, just like the airship song, this song kind of reflects both what the characters and the player are feeling at the moment. This plays when you're on the world map in the underworld section. So you've been playing this entire game, you explored the overworld, and then you learned that there's an entirely new map underneath everything that you've been playing. You get to this...
It's like Upside Down Castle.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to the land of the dwarves, and there's a whole new map. It's very awe and wonder inspiring.
Yeah, you're like, cool!
Yeah, it's like, whoa! There's all this stuff, and there's like lava and volcanoes, and it's very different from what you've experienced so far.
You know, the first thing that happens is you try to take your airship down there, and then your airship crashes because it's hot.
Yeah.
And it's underground?
Yeah.
So airships don't go underground so good.
No, there's underground airships, which you get that later on.
No,
underground airship.
Sid gets your underground airship.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, like, you know, we were just talking about like the groove and everything like that. You know, you definitely get that like prog rock influence with this one. You get that like, you know, like early Crimson kind of thing.
Yeah.
Early Crimson groove.
And there's even, you know, I think there's also a timely connection to what's going on in fusion jazz too.
Yeah,
it's got that, because that was that intricate arrangement, the slap bass.
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing that those got, you know, the Chick Coreas and the Weather Reports and the Al Di Meolas and Billy Cobhams were doing at that point, which had really interesting musical changes, time signature changes, but there was a real kind of funky rhythm section going on.
It's almost like to a lesser extent, it's a less electronic, like, it's like Alan Parsons. It's like a jack of all trades, almost.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like some interesting influences, but very common of what was going on musically at that point too.
All right. So the next track is a sort of a boss theme track, and that is Dancing Calcabrina.
Oh boy. It's goofy.
Yeah,
Strange.
very again circusy, very
You're was it the first time that appears you're fighting animated dolls, correct?
Yeah, so they're not only are they animated dolls, but they're basically ballerina doll marionettes. They're spinning and dancing and just sort of
this is actually reused 2 other times for other weird creepy once for another weird creepy battle that like it's so you're facing the dolls and what was that? I wrote down the name.
I think they're the Calcabrinas.
They're Calca and Brina, but they're Luca's dolls.
Yeah.
And so when you face Luca, it transitions to the actual boss battle.
Yeah.
Music. Similarly, when you meet Dr. Lugae, is it Lugae? I don't know how to say it. Lugae. Lugae.
Yeah, they don't. There's no voice acting in the game.
Yeah, no, he's goofy and weird, and that plays when you fight him until he gets into his final form, which is a robot thing, and then you get actual boss battle music.
Yeah.
And then the third time it happens is we're gonna jump back to that dancing girl, in Mysidia who turns into a pig, and it plays when she's doing her dance.
Oh. I didn't realize that. All right.
So it's just a weird one. They're like, hey, squeeze box, this is strange. All right.
Yeah. It almost sounds like it's kind of like a waltzy tune.
It is, yeah.
It's a waltz?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes, I got one.
Yeah.
It would be like a very fast
study.
Nice.
Like this would play on like a creepy merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like in Mario 64.
That'd be weird.
Yes.
Again. A haunted merry-go-round.
The haunted merry-go-round.
It's terrifying.
The horses going up and down. With the eyes moving.
They're like zombie horses.
Zombie horses.
Oh, God.
Well, so the next track that we're going to listen to is called Another Moon. And get ready for another story dump. So if you're feeling awkward and off-put, you should be.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Was there heavy panning in that, or was that just my brain making that up?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah.
No way. There's sweet panning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So at this point in the story, you learn that Golbez is on the moon, and you need to get the lunar whale to go to
one of the moons.
He's on one of the moons. Sorry. The planet has 2 moons,
which is artificial.
One of which you learn
is a space station.
That's no moon.
That's a space station. Oh, I'm starting to see a tie-in here.
Yeah,
I'm feeling good about
this. It's too big for a space station.
Yeah.
Are Biggs and Wedge in this one?
I don't think Biggs and Wedge are in this
man.
one.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
I don't know.
Biggs and Wedge are in a lot of Final Fantasy games.
That's another
pseudo
staple is that there's 2 characters named
they really
Biggs
like
and
Star
Wedge.
Wars.
Yeah.
I missed all this. When I was a kid, all we had to play with was a ball of lint under my parents' bed.
Oh.
We got that. We got it framed.
There's a walk uphill both ways to the toy store to buy.
In the snow.
In the snow. Yeah, so the story, as is very typical Final Fantasy, just kind of really starts to go off the rails around this point. You learn that Cecil is a lunarian. There's people who
half,
are
right?
half Lunarian.
Yeah.
There's people who are from the moon.
Yep,
There's like a whole race of people, the Lunarians, who live on the moon, who constructed a fake moon, so that to prepare for invading the blue planet, which is Earth. Welcome to Earth.
Golbez.
A lot going on toward the end of the game.
Golbez.
Yeah.
And you learn that Golbez and Cecil are actually brothers.
And Golbez is a good guy, and he's trying to stop the Lunarians from attacking the Earth. So you gotta fight Zeromus.
Fire when ready, Commander.
You may fire when ready. But it's like in true Final Fantasy fashion, like
Getting my things confused.
in true Final Fantasy fashion, like 80% of the game is like you think one guy's the big bad, and then at the very last minute you find out that you're completely wrong. So let's go fight 4 other dudes because we didn't bother tying this game up in a nice little bow.
That is Final Fantasy in a nutshell. So yeah, you learn that Golbez was in fact not the bad guy. He was like kind of mind controlled, also kind of fighting the mind control. And the big bad was Zemus, who was
Zeromus.
Zemus then turns into Zeromus.
Yeah.
It's like Ganon Ganondorf.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Or Kuja Necron.
Which one? What?
In Final Fantasy IX, you go literally up until the last battle against Kuja. And then they're just like, wait, no, he wasn't it. And they shoehorn another guy in afterwards, just for no reason.
Sorceress!
Like, they could have just ended it there.
How many sorceresses are in this game?
Yeah. Oh, God. Let's relive that.
No, we're just once.
Yeah.
Just once.
You can't always hit a home run.
No.
Yeah, so the story got really disorienting at this point in the game, and the music kind of reflects it. It's very kooky. It almost has like an Earthboundy feel to it.
I like the horn farts.
Yeah.
With the delay on them and everything.
Pan honks.
Yeah.
Out in
Pan
open
honks.
space.
Yeah. So it's almost like lampshading the fact that they realize that the game just got super weird on you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, like
it's also super weird for
scenically, it's super weird because now you're on the moon and like all the enemies are weird and
yeah,
and it's weird for the characters too. Like they're dealing with the same like, wait, what the hell that you are like?
Yeah, we can breathe on the moon.
What the crap?
What happened? But yeah, I dig it.
Cool. All right, and I think the last track that we have on the list is Within the Giant.
So that's another variation on the main theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is sort of like the last hurrah.
Yeah.
For the heroes.
You can tell.
The enemy Zemus has revived or created this giant robot, basically to destroy the Earth.
Yeah. The Iron Giant.
The Iron Giant, and you have to work your way you go inside of it, and you have to fight your way through it in order to destroy it. So this is like, you know, the party's final hurrah, their last charge.
It's a dungeon/boss.
It is a dungeon boss. It's a dungeon man.
Yeah, dungeon man.
Yeah, if you were wondering, like, you know what? Like, I hear you saying that prog rock influence, but I don't really believe it. No. Now you believe it.
Told you.
Now you believe it. Told you. Like, this is, that's just straight up that, you know, between the bass player who has the chops of the bass player from Iron Maiden, you know, doing that run, you know, you have that whole, you know, string plus that melody and everything like that. Everything's very jazz chords. Everything's like, you know, and then you have the do-do-do-ka, you know, going behind it. Like, this is like super prog rock.
It's a great blend of that prog rock stuff and the orchestral stuff together. It honestly works really well in like bringing it all together.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's bringing not only the game but the soundtrack together as well.
Yeah. I was going to say that too. It does bring a lot of the different elements together, and it introduces actually some technical things that in the arpeggio, the hi-hats go pan back and forth, and there's a few technical aspects of it from a production standpoint that have not been done before that kind of make it like, okay, we're pulling out all the stops now, kids, you know.
And another thing they do that is really cool from like a theming and immersion standpoint is a couple times there's just like sounds, and I'm pretty sure that those are intended to be like machinery sounds because you're in a giant robot, so you can imagine like gears grinding and clacking and all this machinery whirring around you. It's very immersive.
Yeah. I definitely dig it.
So I lied when I said that was the last track. We have a bonus edition,
special request.
We skipped one that Alden wanted.
Yeah.
So
let's go.
Do you know what?
Hey Siri, do you know where the train?
I didn't have really anything specific on that one. That's just my favorite song in this game. I mean,
I see how it is.
So that's actually the track that happens when you go into the castle of the dwarves. That's the dwarves' theme. Giada is their king.
It's kind of like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Like it starts off in a way that you're like, okay, this is gonna be like some like something kind of serious or something like. Nope, no, this is weird. It's kind of fun.
And then, like,
it was very close to when you run into Bowser in Mario 64 for like a second there. And
like, and that one, that theme happens in some variation when you go into Castle Damacian, wherever not Damacian, Fabul.
Okay.
Wherever Yang is from. And so you have like this like warrior monk kind of feel, and then you get that and you're preparing for warrior monk, and it's just like these like fuzzy dudes that are this tall. It's very silly.
Yes, apparently it's a recurring thing now where I forget to include a song that Alden wanted to talk about, and Sully doesn't get a chance to prep for it.
That's fine. I don't need to prep for everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
My overarching... this is another one of those overarching things for me. So, like, I got all my content out in the beginning and through the rest of those. Like, yeah, this is like that again.
Yeah.
It's that thing again.
This is what I do. This is what I do. Honestly, that's the sign of a well-written soundtrack, is that, like, if we get to the end and it's, like, completely new and there's, like, some new stuff to talk about, then that's weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, this is a very well put together
Or it's
soundtrack.
Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
That happened.
That happened.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
anyone have any closing remarks?
So I look for. I don't think Zeromus or Zemus have their own battle theme, right?
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Should we look for it?
Yeah, it's like the last. It should be like the last tracks.
Because I didn't think that I saw it, but. So I was wrong. There is a Zeromus track.
Yep.
We found it.
We found it. And we also found that the battle actually starts with playing the Final Fantasy theme, also known as
The
Prologue.
Yeah, Prologue.
Not Final Fantasy IV theme. And then transitions into the Zeromus battle theme proper once he has reached his final form.
It plays the prologue while was it like Kane and Golbez are fighting him?
No,
It's Fusoya and Golbez.
That's
That
that's
plays
the
battle
boss.
theme 2.
Yeah.
Is the regular boss theme is what plays when Fusoya and Golbez so Fusoya is like this sage guy that you meet, and Golbez actually attack and defeat Zemus, who is the big bad, but then he's all like, "This isn't even my final form," and then he takes out Golbez and Fusoya, and then the party has to fight him.
Yes.
And then when the party starts fighting him, it plays Prologue, and then transitions into Zeromus, the theme. So there's a lot of different music that plays during the last fight of the game.
Yeah. There's like story reasons why like the Final Fantasy theme plays in the beginning, because it's supposed to be like the hurrah moment, like everybody get ready to fight the guy, and then you get like party wiped essentially, and then like your dead party members come back and be like, "Yo, bro, stop being dead."
You
stop
wake up
it,
and you're like, okay,
and then the real fight begins. Like so, it starts off. It's almost like the direct opposite of what happens in Final Fantasy VII, where you have like the actual boss fight, and then you have like a piddly story fight. In the beginning, you have a piddly story fight, and then the actual boss fight starts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a mashup of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of content in that track.
Yeah, it's literally an amalgamation of all three battle fights.
Also the main theme is thrown in there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull out a kind of honorary Final Fantasy reference. So in Bravely Default, which was also made by Square and very heavily influenced by old Final Fantasy games, the final fight in that game has a track called "Serpent Eating the World," which is in very similar vein to this. It's an amalgamation. It's sort of like a medley of like all the different battle themes and the 4 characters, their like personal themes. It's a medley of all of the different music that you've heard throughout the game, but like sort of sped up a little bit. And this last hurrah kind of moment, it feels very much like it was inspired by Final Fantasy IV. Nice. So even outside of the technical Final Fantasy franchise, this game has far-reaching influences.
Yeah. Yeah. That being said, I mean, like as a final thought for me, like I really don't have much else to say that hasn't been said. This is pretty much the definitive game in the franchise for establishing the musical themes. Like not even just the actual musical themes, like, you know, the Final Fantasy theme and the Chocobo theme, but it, like, you know, it's the definitive game in the franchise for all the tropes that we take for granted in Nobuo Uematsu's writing, at least.
We've sourced them.
Yeah, here we go. This is it. Like, he did some of this stuff before, but this is really where he, like, solidified the craft. This is when he became the Final Fantasy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would just add that it's a narrative-driven game, which was, I think, more so than previous Final Fantasies, also because, again, each character was an individual with, like, a plot line and a preset, like, set of characteristics and whatnot.
You weren't just the Warriors of Light.
Right, yeah. So it's very narrative-driven, and I think that allowed him to write the soundtrack like that. And which is why, again, it's just, to loop it back around, it's written very much so like a narrative piece of classical music. It's written a lot like it were an opera or a ballet or something like that. And it's a lot of reused musical content in other tracks, and it's all tied together by a lot of different things, and you could drive a whole lot out of it if you wanted to, and just project on him if you feel like it all day. So which is the great thing about it.
The whole idea of, like, writing a story and music around, like, a central protagonist character was, like, not super heavy in previous Final Fantasy games, and this was the first time that you really got to know the protagonist. Like, Cecil is a very complex character. He's very three-dimensional. He's not just like your Warrior of Light, I'm the hero, good guy, protagonist kind of thing.
Right.
He starts off the game doing some pretty terrible things. Yeah. And then he has to live with the fact that he's killed a lot of people at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, this story, it just parroting everything, the story is much deeper than the road is blocked by thick ice, you'll need the fire rod. Like, this is an RPG. Like, in less of a sense, this really kind of establishes it as a JRPG. Like, in previous Final Fantasy games, you know, being able to choose your characters and choose their stats, like, to a lesser extent, you can choose the equipment and stuff like that. It worked a little bit like Final Fantasy did, but being able to have that modulation is less of a JRPG and more of a Western RPG thing. This one is straight up JRPG. You know, you have the characters that you're supposed to have for that part of the story. You have, you know, the multiple characters in the battle, everything like that. You can customize a little bit with weaponry and magic, but realistically, you're kind of shoehorned into
each character has a role.
Each character has a role. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different style than, say, a Skyrim. Yeah. You know, and because of that, you know, you're not able to project yourself onto the character as much, but you can empathize with the character much more. You know, you can't really empathize with the Argonian, you know, female wizard that you made. You can project yourself.
It's less self-insertion and more of experiencing the story.
Right, and that's really realistically why I think the music in this did as well as it did with the idea of leitmotif, because at that point you're associating the theme with the character or the emotion, and you're taking what you know of them and associating that. You know, like Rydia's melancholy, you're feeling melancholy in those scenes, not just because of Rydia, but because of the music, because you are that music is making you feel melancholy. So now all of a sudden you are associating that, like they all go together. It's I'm running in circles now, but they all go together. The characterization, the musical theming, and how that affects you as a player, how you empathize with that character.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, that's all the closing remarks that I had for Final Fantasy IV.
Fun time.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for hosting us again at the illustrious Studio 4. And if you would like to book time at the wonderful Studio 4, go to studio4.com. Or it's philnicolo.com.
Phil Nicholo. If you go to studio4.com, you go to Ontario, Canada's largest adult website.
I think
Which somebody pointed out to me about like 20-something years ago when we first... So yeah, actually go to philnicolo.com.
philnicolo.com. And studio4recording.com.
Hey, and all day long.
And thanks for coming out, everybody. So it was a fun time. Next time we'll listen to something else.
See you later.
Oh, real quick, before I forget, remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, and subscribe and give us a like on iTunes as well. It really helps us out. Helps us.
5-star reviews.
5-star reviews, always helpful. If you leave us a review on iTunes, it helps us get noticed. It helps iTunes sort of actually tell people that we exist. And if you liked it, share it with your friends. Help spread the word. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Later.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to click that subscribe button to stay current on all things Duplay. If you really like us, why not support us on GameWisp? We've got lots of awesome rewards for our subscribers, including early access to our videos and exclusive content. Thanks. Catch you guys next time.